So this week, Redfall came out, and it was certainly the build-up just to get to the release date with just bad news coming from all directions for Microsoft and this game. And then it comes out, and things have not gone well for the title. I have been playing it for several hours now, mostly in co-op, and I had some thoughts on this one, but it has brought into question once again Microsoft's ability to manage and release critically acclaimed titles for their big subscription service Game Pass, and even looking towards a game release like Starfield, if everything is riding on this game. And we're going to go over all that here today. So if you guys enjoy the video, make sure you like it and subscribe if you're new here to the Spawn Wave Plus channel. First of all, let's take a look at Redfall over on Metacritic. This is on the Xbox Series X. On PC, it's actually a bit lower. I think it's in like the 50s, 58 or 59, and they're coming in at a 62 on Metacritic. Not great, mostly because this is Arcane, and typically when I think of Arcane, I think of some very unique titles. I know we had like Deathloop, but going beyond that, for this specific studio at Arcane, I'm thinking of Prey, and that isn't necessarily a game that was like 90s or anything on Metacritic, but I think it was genuinely unique, and it's a game that I've never experienced anywhere else. However, as I play Redfall, and again, I'm several hours in now, with mostly in co-op with some of the people from the Spawncast, Nate, Sean, MVG here and there. It's not been the greatest experience outside of being able to play multiplayer and just kind of have the usual fun with the antics that can pop up from all of that. The game just does not feel complete. It's certainly not polished, but it feels like they pushed it out knowing that it wasn't ready to go. And it's odd because this game was delayed out of last year, which makes me wonder, what would this game have looked like if it did release in 2022? The only thing I could think of is it was in such bad condition that maybe it was crashing all over the place, or there was actual issues in the game where people were falling through the floor, or there was progress bugs that were halting any kind of missions or stories or anything in the game. But as I'm playing through this, you can clearly see the cracks in the game just trying to function. There are times you sort of fast travel back to your main hub, which is like the firehouse, and as soon as you do that, you look around at some of the people playing with you in co-op. They're T-posing and sort of just sliding around on the floor instead of walking, and everything else around the game itself is just such a generic and bland structure that I honestly have no idea how it came from Arcane, who did Prey. It just follows a very cookie-cutter formula in an open world that's fairly small, and why they say it's dense still feels extremely empty. Also, the characters themselves don't feel that different. They have abilities that are supposed to differentiate them through their own skill tree, but as we've been going through, we really haven't used a lot of those abilities. It doesn't seem like many of them are advantageous enough to consistently rely on them when you can just use your regular guns, shotguns, assault rifles, and all of this. And there's no grenades, which seems kind of strange because we've definitely had grenades thrown at us by the enemies. Now, this entire thing is exacerbated a bit because that is Microsoft's first $70 game. Remember, they did make the push up starting with Redfall for this year. And while they did have Hi-Fi Rush, which was an awesome release, people are still looking around for a game that would more or less be able to match some of the other big-time titles we see out of Nintendo or Sony. We have Tears of the Kingdom coming up, and based on a lot of the talk going around, this could actually dethrone Breath of the Wild on Metacritic, as crazy as that sounds, and it's definitely going to be a game of the generation for Nintendo. And while I never looked at Redfall as that title, we're kind of looking for that starting point for Microsoft with the $70 push right now, because that's kind of what's being compared to with some of these AAA releases. And Microsoft has had good games over the last 2 years. I mean, we go back to 2021 for something like Forza Horizon 5, and there are some other games that again are smaller in scale but at least hit in like the 80s, for example, like Pentiment. People really enjoyed that. Grounded, even though it definitely wasn't a game for me, I get it, people did enjoy that one as well. But again, still looking for that big time release, and I guess it's gonna be Starfield. In fact, based on the conversation going around online, man, the pressure on Starfield right now is immense. And that is once again coming from Bethesda, of course. So people looking around going, okay, can Bethesda, who technically just turned in Redfall, do a complete 180 and just blow us away with Starfield? Well, we did have the announcement making it official technically, because I guess it was already kind of official, right? But they have the nice little graphic here. They have the times, all this stuff for the big Xbox June showcase, Sunday, June 11th, with Starfield's Direct following immediately after that showcase ends. And we're looking for mostly, as they say, updates, gameplay, developer interviews, behind-the-scenes information for all the different first-party studios that Microsoft has been acquiring. It's not like this is make or break for Microsoft. It kind of feels like that almost every year with these E3, well, not necessarily E3 showcase here, but the summertime showcase. It almost feels like it's like make or break every year for Xbox. But Starfield now, after what we've seen with Redfall, after the CMA moving to block Activision Blizzard, that acquisition, feels like the weight of the world is kind of resting on Starfield right now. There also seems to be a feeling of like doom and gloom when it comes to Xbox, more than, I mean, I can remember even back to the Xbox One, like when that first launched, and they were just getting beaten up left, right, and center online with their DRM and always online idea, which Don Matrick was just probably ahead of his time with that one. But right now, just the perception of the Xbox brand just seems to be super low. I mean, even for Bethesda, technically, their last big release falling in line with their open world RPGs was Fallout 76. So they're kind of out to prove themselves here with Starfield. And I was hoping that the idea of a delay for something like Redfall would have made it better. If that's better, then again, I would have been curious to see what would have come out in 2022. But I'm still holding out that hope that Starfield got a delay to just make it even better. And I mean, Starfield is Bethesda's like top talent working on it, right? So I still believe Starfield's going to come out and be good, but now it's like expectations are to a certain level that I almost wonder if any game could reach that, right? Like it's going to be something to see when this game comes out, and it's going to be later on this year around the time that we see some other titles pop up like a Spider-Man 2. But Starfield should be big enough for Microsoft and Bethesda to release it anytime they want, right? It doesn't matter if Starfield and Spider-Man 2 are in the same week. It's Starfield, it's Bethesda, people will pay attention. I would also like to see Microsoft get that win after what happened here with Redfall. It's just Microsoft needs to become much more competitive with Sony across the board. They, at least revenue-wise on the books, they seem to be doing well, but with their console sales declining and them struggling now when it comes to just basic PR, it's rough sledding right now for them. So here's hoping this showcase coming up is really good. They have a bunch of stuff to show. Not everything is 5 years away or something, maybe even a shadow drop thrown in there, and then Starfield really takes center stage with some impressive stuff following the showcase. But let me know what you guys think about all this down below, especially if you had a chance to play Redfall, and what your expectations are for the showcase and Starfield. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.